Okay, should be good to go, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, members of staff, and members of the applicants for the seat for councillor to this January 13th special meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved. Oh, I had that in the wrong spot. Be resolved that the January 13th special council meeting of the Township of South Glengarry now be opened at 7:02 p.m. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Councillor McDonnell shall be joining us imminently. Approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions or amendments, Madam Clerk?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there are no amendments to the agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Stephanie Jaworski, second by Sam McDonnell. Be resolved that the Council of the Township of South Glengarry approve the agenda as circulated. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business, and I'll hand the floor over to you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. On December 9th, Council declared one of its offices of councillor vacant. And at our meeting on December 20th, Council received an information report and approved the process to move forward with an appointment for the vacant councillor seat. So we issued an expression of interest to the community at large. We received 8 applications. So this evening we have those 8 applicants on the call with us, and they are each going to be afforded an opportunity to address council, followed by a question period where 3 questions will be asked of the candidates, and they will each have an opportunity to respond. So I'm just going to go over the process for this evening. So the order by which the candidates are going to address council has been predetermined by random draw. Mr. Mayor, you have that list before you in the agenda package. So we will call upon each candidate. They will have 3 minutes to address council. At the 30-second mark, I will turn my camera on. So during the presentation, it'll be off. When you see my face come on, that means there are 30 seconds left. And when the time is up, I will raise my hand. So we'll ask the candidate once my hand goes up to please finish your sentence. If that's not the case, I may have to hit the mute button in fairness to give everybody the same amount of time. So I'm not trying to be rude if I do that. We're just trying to keep everybody with the same length of time to speak. And the same will be the case for when we enter the question period. So for each of the questions, there has been a random draw to determine the order by which the candidates will be afforded the opportunity to respond. And again, at the 30-second mark, I'll turn my camera on, and when the time is up, I will put my hand up. So subject to any questions before we begin, that's the process we have before us this evening. And I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor, to call upon the candidates.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to, 1 second. Ms. Milner, you have a question. Your hand is raised.
Yes, we're all asked the same questions and then we each respond one after another.
That is correct. So there are going to be 3 questions asked. Deputy Mayor Jaworski, Councillor Lang, and Councillor McDonnell will each be asking 1 question, and everybody will have the same opportunity to answer that question.
So we just raise our hands and we will.
No, you will be called upon. There's a random order. So you will be called upon by me to answer the question. And those, the slots were predetermined. There's no particular order. There's no special treatment. Madam Clerk made it very clear that we were doing it by random draw.
Thank you.
Okay. So before we get started, I wanted to take an opportunity on behalf of council to thank each and every one of you for submitting your application. It's great to see that we have a lot of talented community members wanting to serve our community. All of us on this table, we run to serve our community, and I just want to thank you all for doing so. 2021 has been a extremely tough year for our council, and we are all looking forward to moving forward in 2022. So with that being said, I'm going to move to start the individuals to start their speech. So person number one is Heather Malion. If you could turn your camera on, unmute yourself, and whenever you are comfortable, just start.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
I first want to start by saying thank you for taking the opportunity to let me speak. I reside here in South Glengarry, and I manage a local construction company for the last 26 years. And saying this, I feel that I've developed some very meaningful relationships through my clients and friends through SD&G. I'm honest, I'm compassionate, I'm hardworking, and I'm very resourceful. I've compiled tons of resources through my experience in the construction company, and I feel that I could benefit the community with that. I problem solve on a daily basis, and I like getting end results very quickly. And I feel that given the opportunity, I could help the community grow. And I also want to make council aware that I am aware of the Municipal Act, and that there may be a conflict of interest at some point in time if given the position. And I'm okay to remove myself if that situation deems itself. I've read the mission statement for the township. I've read the values, the strategic goals. It's all about wanting to have a better community and a better area. And there's lots of heritage and culture here that I very much enjoy. And I would just like to be part of that. I feel I could do a very good job at helping make that happen.
Are you finished, Ms. Malion?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So we will now ask you to, you can mute yourself and turn your camera off, and we'll go to the next candidate, and then we'll come back whenever we are ready to ask questions. The second candidate is Sean Helmke. Sean, if you could unmute yourself and turn your camera on, that would be great. Must be having some technical difficulties. I'll give him another few seconds, and then I will go on to the next candidate and come back after. Sean Helmke. Oh, there you go. You're unmuted. The video and the mute button are side by side on the left side of your screen. We noticed that you unmuted yourself, but you put yourself back on mute, and we cannot see you. Okay, so I'm gonna to keep the meeting moving along. I'm gonna go to the next candidate, and we'll circle back to Mr. Helmke. It seems that he's having technical difficulties. I'd like to ask Hans Schultz to come on. There we go.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready, Hans, Start.
Will go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Deputy, councillors, other candidates. 3 minutes to sell ourselves. So what does Hans bring to the table? I bring a wealth of experience as a senior security manager. In management, I supervised a staff of over 200 employees and 26 different contracts. I have experience in utilizing human resources, dealing with clients and dealing with staff. I've been on both sides of the negotiating table as a manager and as a shop steward. I know how important it is to budget and to keep expenses within guidelines. This entails being able to say no when our heart would love us to say yes. Like you, I know that when I promoted a new contract commander, I would be disappointing other candidates, but I can handle the heat. As a teacher for both the French Catholic and the English public boards, I know the importance of continuing to be a lifelong learner, and I look forward to an opportunity to continue to learn and grow. As a retired teacher and a current supply teacher, I have a flexible schedule that will accommodate the demands of being a counselor. As a prairie boy, I understand how important agriculture is to the economic well-being of the community. I look forward to working with organizations like Alternative Land Use Services, a community developed and farmer delivered program implementing ecosystem services. Their goal, and one of mine, is to sustain agriculture, wildlife, and natural spaces for our community and for future generations. As a member of the Ontario Woodlot Association, I'm proud of how Joanne and I have rehabilitated and reforested some of our property. I'm a pretty good chess and bridge player. I can work alone or with a partner. I've also been a player, a coach, a referee. I've chased some of you up and down, or your children up and down the soccer fields and the basketball courts, or in some cases, even grandchildren. I understand the importance of teamwork in accomplishing some tasks, and I look forward to working with our neighbors in Cornwall and Akwesasne in the counties. In closing, I look forward to the opportunity to be part of this council's team. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schultz. Thank you. I will now ask Rebecca Luck to come on. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm on yourself.
Good. Couldn't hear you. I can hear you loud and clear. Whenever you're
Perfect.
ready, please start.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. My name is Rebecca Luck, and I'm here to discuss with you my interest in filling the vacancy of councillor. I moved to Glengarry when I was 10 years old. I attended Iona and subsequently GDHS. During my youth, I basked in all that Glengarry had to offer: horseback riding down by Frog Hollow Road, spending copious amounts of tickets at the Williamstown Fair game booths, the intensive rivalry felt between GD and Charlan while on the soccer field, my heart pounding when the mass piping band entered the field at Glengarry Highland Games. Glengarry is an amazing community that will forever be home to me. It is where the memories and stories I cherish most come from. After GD, I chose to pursue engineering at McGill University. I chose the engineering profession because I wanted to contribute my time towards designing and building a great future for my family and our community as a whole. I graduated in the class of 2012 and have been working in Cornwall at UBB Engineering since shortly after its amalgamation. As a professional engineer with UBB, my area of expertise has been municipal infrastructure. This includes storm, sanitary sewers, water mains, design of, both rural and urban cross-section, reconstruction and rehabilitation of roadways, design of new subdivisions, going through site plan control application, zoning amendments, and so forth. I believe that my engineering background will provide the township with a unique skill set. I live on a hobby farm by the Brown House, a little over maybe 30 acres. We keep chickens and horses, and we rent our land to a local farmer. I understand that agriculture is a huge part of our community. And as councillor, I will strive to represent the needs of our local farmers. I have two beautiful daughters at home. One is 4 and the other one just turned 1. Some may question whether I have time to act as councillor with a relatively new family. And to this, I say that they make me want to do better. I want my girls to grow up in the amazing community of Glengarry. I want them to be a part of that Glengarry. I want to be part of the decisions for promoting rural education in Eastern Ontario. Education is very dear to my heart. In addition to my engineering degree, I also hold a bachelor's degree in education and believe this would contribute towards making informed decisions on the subject. I understand that being counselor is no easy task. It can be time consuming at times. However, I'm the person who cannot remain idle. I thrive when busy. I'm not afraid of making decisions. And as an engineer, my job is to solve problems. I have fielded questions from the public at many council and public meetings. I'm bilingual in French. My goal is to represent the public and their views. I understand that the community as a whole have many views and opinions. However, I believe in seeing the bigger picture and making evidence-based decisions, taking into account all information. So why do I want to be counselor? I love our community. I love the people that make up this community. Okay.
Kelly, was that your 30-second or was that that's the end of it?
That was the end.
Okay, great. It goes by
Thank
really
you.
fast.
It does.
Very well, thank you. Okay, moving on to the next candidate, Mr. Motar, Roger Motar. Motar, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor. That's fine. I can see you now. I hope you can see me. Can you hear me?
We cannot see you. Your camera is not feeding in. Oh, there we go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Council Deputy. Thank you for the opportunity. Came up for a council seat. I know it wasn't easy time, as you said, for this year. I'm hoping the next year will be better. Looking forward to be part of the team to make the next year better. I'm an immigrant in Canada for over 25 years, almost 25 years. Lived in Montreal for 19, in South Glengarry, which is, I thought it is Cornwall, for 5 years, which is we realized shortly when we moved here that it's a big difference between Cornwall and South Glengarry. We are happy here. We couldn't be happier than, like we kind of immigrated again to Canada when we moved to the area, because we lived in Quebec and it's totally different mentality. I had a chance to live in many places. I lived in Europe for a while, where I studied over there. I lived in the States a couple of years before moving to Canada. I speak many languages and I'm part of the community. We play a role with the community, with the school, our school. I'm involved, our school. We run two businesses. We have a logistic business, asset-based logistics in Cornwall, plus we have a retail store. We deal with a lot of people, with the friends, and we have a chance to meet a lot of people here. And honestly, it's amazing, and we are really happy that we have a chance to raise our kids in this such a community it's totally different than the big cities I lived all my life in. So it's a little bit kind of not to say cultural shock, but it's a pleasant experience, and I will never trade for anything. I will never go back to a big cities. Here, everything's feel like kind of family. Starting with experience with the township when I had the business in Baysville, and I had to deal with some employees of the office, and with my vast experience and traveling all over the world and my language, I feel like it's unique place here. It is unique, and we are part of it, and we try to contribute as much as we can, me and my wife and our families. It's most important here to build the community around our children, because they are the future. And we're trying very hard to show them how we can be part of the community. We are trying to lead them by example, because living in different places, and sometimes you're living in a big cities, locked in an apartment, your children, they didn't have even a chance to talk to the neighbor next door. But here we are like kind of in different place. So everything here about community, everything here about family. It's not just about running business. We do run business. We know how to run business. I had a chance to work with a big corporation like Best Buy Canada when we just opened in Quebec. I had a chance to be one of the management team managing over 150 people. Before that, I had a chance to work for Tim Horton management position as well, over 100 people managing in Tim Hortons. We work with the young generation as well as experienced generation as well. So my experience with management and people experience, it's given me kind of a feeling that I can be
Thank
part.
you, Mr. Motar. I'm sorry you're well over your 3 minutes. We certainly appreciate your thank you. I'm sorry you're well over your 3 minutes.
Sorry, I didn't see Kelly actually because I see only you on the screen. That's why.
Okay, well, my apologies for that.
No, that
okay.
is not your fault.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thank you again.
Thank you.
The next candidate is Trevor Bougie.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Go ahead when you're ready, Trevor.
All right. Good evening, Council. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you how I feel I would be a good fit for the vacant councillor position. I would like to commend this council on the work you have done thus far, dealing with challenging circumstances. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in South Glengarry on a small hobby farm, and family owned and operated business in Summertown Station. I currently reside in Lancaster with my wife, Laura, and 2 sons, Connor and William. I've been an elementary school teacher for 12 years, and I currently work at Bishop MacDonnell. From 2010 to 2018, I had the honor of serving the residents of South Glengarry as a councillor. I've served on many committees and have remained an active volunteer in the community. I can help this council in the following ways. I can help by stepping into any committee role they would require, as I have extensive experience on various committees over the years, and currently sit on the Community Improvement Plan Committee. I would like to thank this council for approving that request. I can help by being a strong voice in delegations with other local municipal townships or with upper levels of government to push our infrastructure projects to the forefront. I can help by being available for conferences, as this is an important element in staying up to speed with upcoming provincial programs and legislation. Also by continuing to promote the Ontario's Celtic Heartland branding, our wonderful banners that were created by local artists. And I would love to see more collaboration to promote our branding. I could hit the ground running, as it is a huge learning curve, and I am familiar and well-versed in municipal politics and our procedural bylaws. For these reasons, I feel like I would be an excellent candidate to be councillor for the township. I want to continue to make a positive impact in our township. I'm an approachable and visible member of the community. I want to be and work with this council, community groups, and individuals to enhance the quality of life for our residents. Whether that is a splash pad, park upgrade, waterfront access or improvement, arena enhancement, saving a historical building such as the Bishop's House, helping businesses access improvement plan funding, a road, or just pointing someone in the right direction. I would love the opportunity on council to help lead our township, not only for the next 10 months, but well into the future. In conclusion, I stand for equity, diversity, and inclusion. I have been honest, committed, and hardworking during my time as a former councillor. I promise to continue to make informed and educated decisions, do the necessary research, and make decisions based on what's best for the residents of the township. Through my 8 years as councillor, I've learned a lot about the process and procedure of how the township operates and the importance of the municipal act. This term, I've continued to follow along with council meetings, share important information through social media, and I've demonstrated my commitment by being a member of the Community Improvement Plan Committee. I would like to ask this council's trust and support to represent the great township of South Glengarry once again. Thank you for your consideration. I look forward to your questions later.
Thank you, Trevor.
Thank you.
Well timed. I'd like to call on, so I'm going to go to Frank Hendrickson. I can see that you've unmuted yourself.
Sorry. I tried to start my video, but it says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. Oh, here we go. Oops. Oh, there we go.
Perfect. We can hear you. So whenever you're ready, sir, go ahead.
I will. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to address the mayor, deputy mayor, and council. My name is Frank Hendrickson. I came to Canada as an immigrant from the Netherlands in 1974. and went to University of New Brunswick in the late 70s and 80s, early 80s to get a degree in engineering and subsequently a master's degree in civil engineering. I've been a township resident since 2007 and have my experience involves a fairly long-standing relationship with various volunteer organizations. I like to be part of my community. So when I was in Ottawa, I was part of the Children's International Summer Villages. I was involved in the Professional Engineers Ontario Ottawa chapter for many years and was its president for a number of years in the late 90s. We moved to South Glengarry, first in Martintown, and later in 2012, we moved to the Key Estates, or Creckie Estates, known as Creckie. And it wasn't long before I was asked to become president of the Key Estates Residents Association, which I did for 7 years. And as you probably know a little bit about our community, it is kind of like a mini municipality. So there was a lot of kind of similar tasks that you would have in a municipality with roads, water, sewer, bylaws, various policy things, dealing with residents, which I think stands me in good stead to be a councillor for the township. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that appointing a councillor is really something that's out of the ordinary, and as such, I do not intend to stand for re-election in October. I think it's very important that an appointed councillor does not stand in the way of the democratic process through which councillors are elected. So I think that's something that has been practiced in other municipalities, just recently in Ottawa, where a councillor was appointed. And I believe that that's a very strong factor in appointing a councillor, so we don't wiggle our way into a democratic process through democratic means. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will now ask Jacqueline Milner to speak. Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Just one moment. Good evening, Mayor Warden, Deputy Mayor Jaworski, Councillor McDonnell, Councillor Lang, and my fellow candidates, our community members and municipal staff attending online this evening. I'm pleased to put my name forward to support and work with our municipality and this council for the benefit of our community. I realize the important function of this position, and I am prepared to fulfill these responsibilities with grace. I bring with me a wealth of knowledge and experience working with a variety of local organizations and businesses, including my own. I am also well aware of all the challenges communities in Eastern Ontario have in sustaining and growing resources that have people wanting to work, live, and play here. I know this is a short-term position for the next 9 months, a unique opportunity for you and a chance for me to bring a new perspective to this role. You can count on me to hit the ground running, to be trustworthy, responsible, respectful, and dedicated with the unique perspective of co-flourishing. I want this appointment. I'm asking you to choose me to creatively fill the shoes of councillor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Milner. We will now go to Mr. Helmke, Sean Helmke. You're on mute, sir. Looks like you're on a cell phone now. You had technical difficulties.
There we go. Mr. Mayor, do you have audible on me now?
Yes, we do.
Should not be. Yes, there we go. Sorry, I had to switch over to cell phone there, folks. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor, councillors, distinguished guests. Thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you to the other candidates, the fellow candidates, for their flexibility in jumping in while I was having technical difficulties. I appreciate that. I do appreciate the opportunity to address the special council meeting tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Helmke. And over the next few minutes, I'd like to present why I believe that I can help the township with the matter at hand, filling the vacant council position until this coming October. First and foremost, I'm a proud Glengarian. Maybe I wasn't born here, but I am from here. I'm proud to have raised my family here. I'm proud to have been a resident here for the past 18 years. It's a great place to call home, and I'm pretty sure that for many of you on this call tonight, it will resonate that when you grow roots in a certain place, you become invested and engaged with that place, and you end up wanting to help make things better for your neighbors and community. That's why I'm here tonight. I learned over the years that my skills can in fact help others. I believe these skills can help build a stronger community. So what are Sean Helmke's skills? My academic background is diverse but solid. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, a Bachelor of Science in Physics, and an MBA. My professional background is equally as broad, but has always revolved around service. I spent 6 years as an officer in the Canadian Forces. Subsequently, I was directly involved in multiple entrepreneurial startups where I helped owners ramp up their businesses. Following my master's degree, I joined a large company in Montreal and have been there ever since in various positions of leadership, including governance, strategic planning, multiple client-facing opportunity or operational capabilities. Most recently, I've managed a cross-functional organization that had a responsibility of over $500 million annually, with responsibilities on both the cost management side as well as the revenue generation side of the equation. And as you can imagine, situations like this provide constant opportunities for creativity and bringing technical knowledge and commercial responsibility to the table to provide proper and fair solutions. Finally, my volunteering background. I've coached kids in soccer, hockey, baseball, so I'm really no stranger to the world of recreation. I realized that my other non-sporting skills could help the recreation community at large. So now I'm the Secretary Treasurer for the Baynesville Recreation Association. My biggest voluntary contribution, however, has been with the Community Futures Development Corporation, or what is now known as ACC Futures. I'm currently in the last few months of my tenure as the chair of the investment committee and the vice chair of the board itself. And in this capacity, it's been a true privilege to serve the local community through these trying times. And through this lens, I can honestly say that our community and neighboring counties are poised to succeed once we put this pandemic situation behind us.
Thank you, Sean. You're well over your 3 minutes. Thank you very much.
Appreciate that,
At
Mr.
this
Mayor.
time, we are going to move on to the question segment of the meeting. If everyone wants to put their cameras on now, I feel like we've all gotten, everybody knows each other now. And so I would just ask that you remain on mute during the time that it's not yours to speak. And the order for this question, I'll allow Deputy Mayor Warden to ask the question, and then I will call on the candidate at the appropriate time. And Deputy Mayor Jaworski, if you could repeat the question twice and make sure that I'll get a nod, I'll watch to make sure that you all understand the question so that it's fair for everyone. Deputy Mayor Jaworski.
Thank you very much, Mayor Warden. If I could just briefly, I would like to repeat what you said earlier, but thank you very much to all of you all of the candidates who have applied for the open seat and who have, I know it's a bit trepidatious to put your name out there, but also the time and effort that you've put towards, your presentation earlier and also to prepare generally. So thank you very much. It is appreciated. So now my question, which I will, to the mayor's orders, I'll repeat twice. So the question is, so disagreeing and defending an opposing point of view is a normal part of being a municipal councillor. So what is the decision of this council that you have disagreed with and why? So once again, disagreeing and defending an opposing point of view is a normal part of being a municipal councillor. What is the decision of this council that you have disagreed with and why?
Okay, so does everybody have the question down pat? Just looking for a nod. Okay, so for this round, again, I'll be calling on Heather Malion to start us off, and then we'll, if you could unmute yourself, you will have, I believe it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then the clerk will come on and ask you to wrap it up. She'll give you a 30-second warning.
I'm drawing a blank. I honestly, I don't have an answer right now. I can't think of one. Honestly, I can't answer it.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. So the second individual is Trevor Bougie.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor Jaworski. It was a difficult question to answer. I feel maybe in terms of this, the service level has been good in my eyes. I mean, councils seem to be working well and moving things along nicely. And it's hard to think of something that council has done where I was in complete disagreement. I actually have enjoyed watching the council meetings, and I agree with some of the decisions you've made, such as weekly recycling. I think that was a good move. Maybe the decision that I would be opposed to is going to a 2-bag limit over time. That would be one maybe where I would have tried to phase in a little longer, or maybe left it at a 4-bag limit. I know it, and I do like the decision of allowing the diapers to be separate, because I have a young family, and you are allowed to do that. So the 2-bag limit is difficult, but that would be one decision where I would have phased in a little longer. But very well done as a council thus far. So thank you for the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bougie. All right, so the next person is Rebecca Luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Deputy Mayor. That is a very, very good, tough first question. I think I would resonate with first of all, the first two candidates that spoke, in that I personally believe that the decisions that council has made thus far has always been in the best interest of the community. To say a decision is poor or that I disagree with, that's not up for me to decide. To me, you make the decision based on so many opposing opinions and views, and you are making a informed decision based on the information that you have and that's best for the community. So to say that I disagree with the decision, I can't sit here rightfully and say that. I can't imagine, you having to do that, and so no. I strongly agree that the decisions that you have made are for the best of the community.
Thank you very much, Ms. Luck. All righty, next up is Sean Helmke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thanks for the question. I'm going to echo what everybody else said. It's a tough one. However, I do have one that is going to sound a bit paradoxical. The reason why we're here tonight, I think, is a one that I would have argued against. And what I mean by that is we are here tonight to appoint a counselor. I think I would have, given the timing of the overall situation, I would have argued for a by-election in the area to appoint a new counselor had we had enough time. When the situation arose, understood that there was a leadership vacuum needed to be filled. Fully support the appointment of the mayor and the deputy mayor. However, the council position, I think I would have argued for a by-election for that.
Thank you very much for your response.
Thank you, sir.
Next one is Hans Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first thing that came to mind was the Cooper Marsh development. I would have, and I do disagree with council's stance to allow the development. I am not convinced that it will have limited to no impact on the adjacent Cooper Marsh area. That's a gem, a treasure that we have. I love walking those trails, snowshoeing, and we do need to be cognizant of what ecological impact development has on adjacent areas. So you may have had far more information, as Rebecca points out, than we got in the public, but from what information I have, I'm not sure that I would have supported any development there. Thank you. Thanks for the question, Stephanie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schultz. Moving on, Frank Hendrickson.
Yes, thank you very much. I have to echo other commentators that said it is a hard question for many of us to answer, because with our busy lives, we probably aren't following the council meetings as closely as some people do. But I do have one issue that I want to bring up, and that was the fact that the township just recently switched from collecting yard waste in paper bags to now no longer accepting paper bags, yard waste in paper bags, and we have to take it to the dump or some other place. I live in a community where people are, first of all, we don't really have any place to store yard waste on our own property, and compost is a little difficult, and many people are elderly, so they don't have the physical ability to deal with that. And I'm not quite sure why the township gave up on the paper bags. What people are going to do now is just put it in plastic bags, and it ends up in the same place. So that is a decision I disagree with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendrickson. Number 7, Roger Motar.
I hope now you can see me better. Okay, I think all I can think of, as everybody says, a tough question. But I think decision was to wait 6 months to fill up a seat. I think I would disagree with it. I think it should be sooner. This way you could have one counselor on the table to help you out and not put all the pressure on the members, on a few members of you. So I think a decision was to wait 6 months to a process to appoint a new counselor. It was wrong and should be done sooner.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Motar. I apologize if I said your name incorrectly.
That's fine.
My apologies. The next person will be Jacqueline Milner, the final person actually, for this question.
Wow, I want to make a lot of would like to have a conversation with all of you. I will make a comment on the last council meeting in December with regards to making a lot available for sale in Summerstown subdivision down Highway 27, instead of leaving it as to be developed as a park. From what I understand is South Glengarry would be having to pay to have a park put in there. You know, I personally think, you know, green space is really needed by everybody in every subdivision. And I would have voted to leave it as a green space, not to allow it to be for sale. So I didn't agree with that decision. However, I did appreciate, Mayor Warden, that information would be going out to the community so that if anybody disagreed with that decision, that it could be brought up again in council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, great question, Deputy Mayor Jaworski. I think everybody got the blood flowing really well. And okay, so we're going to move on to question number 2, and it's going to be asked by Councillor Lang. He will read the question for you twice, and I will look to make sure that you all nod to know that you understand the question. Whenever you're ready, Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, and welcome everybody, and big appreciation for you guys doing this and stepping forward. It's appreciated by us, and I am sure by the community as well. The question, and it's along a similar vein. We all have issues that are near and dear to our hearts. So is there an issue or a service that South Glengarry is performing at this time or addressing, or you think needs to be addressed more? So is there an issue or service that needs to be addressed more in South Glengarry? How would you deal with this issue? And is it a serious enough issue that you would be willing to increase taxes in order to solve this issue? So is there an issue that needs to be addressed more in South Glengarry? How would you deal with it? And would you be willing to increase taxes to deal with this?
Okay, lots there, Councillor Lang. Great question. I would ask you to repeat it just one more time because you've said a lot, if you don't mind, and just so that everybody is aware.
Thank you. Is there an issue in South Glengarry that you think needs to be dealt with? How would you deal with this issue? And would you be willing to increase taxes to deal with it? Because everything that comes up involves more money.
Thank you very much. Does everybody understand the question before I start? Okay, I see every head nodding. Okay, first person will be Hans Schultz.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin. Obviously, one of the things dear to my heart is the forest cover. As a member of the Woodland Association, one of the things that I would like to see and that we have done personally is utilize the Raisin River Conservation Authority for part of the tree plant program. There are federal subsidies. They have the 2 billion tree program. I would like to see us work with farm groups to get in hedgerows, reclaim some of the wetland area. Are taxes going to have to be raised? I think when we look at the situation we're in, we're going to find that we're either going to have to cut services or increase taxes somewhere down the line. We've been in a horrendous 2 years. You guys have done a marvelous job in keeping your handle on taxes. As a manager, I understand the idea of profit, bottom line. We have to work with our farm groups, their businesses, their corporations to find ways that we can encourage and get some of this tree planting. I don't want us to turn into a Saskatchewan in the dirty 30s. I would like to try and do this without raising taxes.
Thanks.
If
Thank you, Han.
necessary,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Sean Helmke.
Yes, sir. Thanks again. Thank you, Councillor Lang, for the question. I think the one issue that I would like to bring forward is the utilization of the airport and the connection that we have with Cornwall and Glengarry as a whole with regards to the airport. It's been a hanging question mark for this area for quite some time. Studied to death and still hanging question marks. I believe that if we go into a negotiation with Cornwall itself and come to a fruitful outcome on those negotiations, there will be no need for taxation increases, because airports in and of themselves, even small ones as we have here, are actually significant revenue generators for the region. So I think it'll be an opportunity for self-funding. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And Roger Matar.
Councillor Lang, thank you for the question. I think we have an issue regarding the garbage collection, which is we have in our township. Now we switch to collecting the waste and recycling at the same time, but limiting soon for 2 bags and not accepting in big bins. So I was reading online, a lot of people upset because a lot of people invested in those big bins, especially we live in outside the town, like in a rural area, and people really upset about it, and they would like to see why we cannot use the big bins. Maybe technical or logistic issues that the truck cannot use them because they are big and heavy. I think this issue needs to be addressed. I don't think any taxes need to be raised in order to do that. Maybe you can just, instead of putting limit on the people, just educate the citizens how to collect their waste or to do their recycle wisely. So this could be resolved, and instead of putting limits on 2 bags and not accepting big bins. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jacqueline Milner.
Oh, my mic was open all this time. So I have a minute and a half, and Kelly will put her thing on when I'm out of time.
When you're at 30 seconds, her screen will appear.
Okay.
And she'll put her hand up if you're going over.
I think a matter that needs to be addressed more, and maybe it still is being addressed, is I believe it's called Glennorman Park area, just north of Lancaster on the west side. And you've been talking about clear cutting it or not clear cutting it. I'm not sure what council has decided. I know there is money allocated to look after it. I believe it's about $50,000 in the budget, if I recall correctly. I was thinking actually, perhaps just the outside trees could be cut and not even all the way down, and maybe you could have some local artists carve them out and until you have maybe some new plantings that grow, and those smaller trunks carved could serve wonderfully for tourists in the area. And it won't cost you additional money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person is Rebecca Luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Lang, for an excellent question. With engineering being my background, I have a particular interest in our local municipal infrastructure. And so to that regard, I'm going to have to say the road system. It's a service that everyone uses, and it's vitally important for everyone, for the whole community. And I'm not trying to say that the current council has not allocated funds or enough funds to our roadway system. quite the opposite. You guys have put more money than any other department into the road and infrastructure system. However, just reading the Glengarry News, what was it last week? And they had the Township of North Glengarry road needs study saying how that it's in terrible shape and how they won't have enough money to be at the level of requirement that they need to be over the next forecasted 5 to 10 years. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is I don't want our township to be in the Glengarry News with saying that our road system is in need when it's the most vital, important piece of infrastructure that we have going. And if I could just say whether we need to increase tax for the last point, I would believe that you would have to make a decision based on the capital plan, looking at the road needs study, and make an informed decision from there. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person is Frank Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Lang. I have to apologize for all the trash talk tonight because I too have an issue that's related to garbage, and that is the collection of, I mentioned earlier, yard waste, but also a compost that in other municipalities, that is, organics are collected separately. And in our municipality, they end up in the landfill, and organics in the landfill is, first of all, of course, it reduces the capacity of the landfill, and replacing landfill capacity is a very expensive and lengthy undertaking. I have some experience in that area. But also organics tend to generate toxicity in landfill, so they're a problem all around. And I would say that having a separate collection for organics would help both homeowners, but it would also help our landfill. And yes, it would cost money, and I think that's money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person is Trevor Bougie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Lang, for the question. I would have to say, I mean, there's no secret that all small municipalities are faced with infrastructure deficit. Roads and bridges are your #1 line item. It's where you spend the majority of the money. So that being said, it's important that the township has a strong asset management plan to forecast those costs, so we are prepared to deal with these costs in the future and tax accordingly, while remaining fiscally responsible. So how are we going to do that? Well, assessment will go up. With an asset management plan, you can see what roads and bridges need to be replaced. If it is a big project, such as Craft Bridge that we have replaced not too long ago, we can meet as a delegation, go to the provincial government, and try to apply for funding. Along with that, we have our water and wastewater capacity in Glen Walter maxed out. I think that is an issue that needs to be addressed. So I think a meeting with the city of Cornwall would be a great idea to see if we can work something out there, or we will need to borrow or substantial money, right, to upgrade that system. So the issue in my eyes would be infrastructure.
Thank you very much. And Heather Malion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I feel that there's 3 good points made. One is the roads and the bridges, one is the infrastructure, and the other is the landfill site, all of which is going to be a substantial amount of money. The landfill site, I mean, it's a disposable world, and it's inevitable that you're going to have new sites, and it's going to cost money. There's no, I mean, and the asset management plan for the township is a great way to start to try and figure out how it's all going to play out. But those are 3 major issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we're moving on to our 3rd and final question. I'd like to ask Councillor McDonnell, and if you could read it twice, and I'll wait for everyone to acknowledge before we start.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks to everybody who's come out and put your name forward. It takes a lot of courage to either run or to just go through this process. And you've given us an ample amount of time tonight, and I thank you for that. My question is going to have to do a little bit with what a lot of you have covered in your opening statement. That it's why do you feel you'd be an asset at the council table? And obviously, you're all here because you feel you would. But I'd like to see if you could use a specific example from your personal or professional life and career to maybe sell us a little more on that.
Okay, it's a pretty straightforward question. Do you want to repeat it one more time, please?
I can, yeah. Why do you feel you would be an asset at the South Glengarry Council table? Please use a specific example from your personal and professional career to make that point clear.
Okay, does everybody understand the question? I see nodding. Okay, so we're going to get started. Roger Matar.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. It is actually an interesting question because sometimes our experience is not related to managing anything in the city or being on the seat on the council. From my experience, we had difficulties with the corporation Best Buy Canada when we used to struggle and managing different department inventory. I was one of that leading on resolving a lot of issues and managing over $50 million in a single store. And I was taking lead and managing a team over 50 people in this direction. And back in the days, I used to have like the best results in whole Canada, and I'm like in the top 5 in Canada. So managing problems and resolving big issues and working with the big teams and involving money, I think it was one of my strong points. And I think it is going to be very big asset for me to help me to be with the team, help the team and resolve a lot of issues coming and helping the citizen of our township. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person is Heather Malion.
I guess for me it would be I could help council and community. As previously stated, I have tons of resources. I've compiled them through the years. I've planned and developed 5 subdivisions. I've worked in water and sewer. I know the tendering processes. I'm just resourceful, and I like to expedite a good end for everyone. And if I don't know anything about it, I find things about it and I make it happen. And that's how I can help the community be a better place.
Thank you very much. The next person is Rebecca Luck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor McDonnell. Very good question, very honest question. And I would personally have to answer that my greatest asset is, other than being me, just kidding, just my professional background, being an engineer, not only my technical background, but also all the other components that come with engineering, conversing with the public, going to public meetings, going to council meetings, but being on obviously the opposing side of the table. I understand local infrastructure. I have a working relationship with the local contractors. By doing my site plan control applications, I go through the zoning amendment bylaws. I do design for subdivisions, so I have a very good technical understanding of how to design for sanitary, storm, water main, grading, however it may be designed. And engineering is all about problem solving. You have to identify the issue, you have to get all the background information, evaluating your options, consulting with members of the public, getting their feedback, and then finally making a decision based on all the information that you've gathered through the best course of action. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Trevor Bougie.
Thank you, Councillor McDonnell, for the question. I'd have to say, in my professional life and education, I have a degree in human kinetics and a bachelor's degree of education. So I currently am teaching grade 5-6 class. So I mean, those are conflict resolution and working as a team are some assets that I teach every day. And I think I could bring that to this council table. As well, I probably served 2 terms as councillor for the great township of South Glengarry. I thought I brought a lot to the table. I put motions through the township office, one being the paramedic services and trying to get paramedics as an essential service across the province, which had a lot of support across the province as well. So I'm not afraid to meet with members of the public, with MPPs at the upper levels of government to move things along and to help the residents of South Glengarry as best I can. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Frank Hendrickson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor McDonnell, for the question. I think I could echo a lot of what Rebecca just said. As an engineer, I've been involved in many projects similar to what she mentioned. One of my last projects was the City of Ottawa Light Rail Transit project, which is I think phase 1 and 2 was like over 4 billion together. So as specific example, I won't go to my engineering background, but go to my experience as president of the Key Estates Residents Association, which, as I said earlier, is pretty much a mini municipality. And as president, I had 9 directors, and we met monthly, very much sort of like a council. And it all comes down to dealing with personalities and individuals and making sure that you reach a consensus as much as possible. And I think that's a huge advantage to be able to do that. Consensus building is the best way to run any organization, but especially a municipality. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person is Jacqueline Milner.
Okay. So I think I would be an asset because I'm an artist. I'm creative. I can make, or sometimes I'm forced to make lemonade out of a lemon. So to take an example from my own career, I had this beautiful painting that I had made, and as I was taking it down or putting it up as an exhibit, I put a hammer through the canvas, which basically meant I couldn't sell it. And it was beautiful. I enjoyed this painting, so I took it home and I thought, what can I do with this? So what I did is I sewed the canvas together and I presented it so that it would make sense, incorporating those stitched parts into the story for that painting. And that painting is now living in someone's house in Cornwall, or I'm sorry, not in Cornwall, in Ottawa. So I think my creative experience and talent can be of great benefit to council. And yes, thank you all council members, Mr. Mayor, for your questions.
Thank you very much. Hans Schultz.
Thank you for the question, Sam. I think that as a security manager and as a patrolman with 11 years experience, I've worked with all segments of the public and understand the breadth of society rather than just specialized. As a teacher, I've worked with a lot of youth, you being one of my former students. I've also been president of the Good Timers for the last 5 years and worked with seniors. So there is a diversity to my background that allows me to look at the community as a whole, and I bring that to the table. And I think that's an asset. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sean Helmke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor McDonnell, for the question again. You know, on a daily basis, my professional life, you know, this is not braggart. This is just reality. I spent over 200,000 before I finished my bagel this morning. It's not because I wanted to, it's because I had to on behalf of the company that I work for during my day job. So making the decisions where it has a financial impact, that's the easy part. But I think the individual item that I most put forward for you, Councillor McDonnell, is my volunteer time with the Community Futures Development Corporation. The reality of that organization is that it's a group of volunteers like ourselves that take resources and put it in the hands of the people who can most benefit and make the most of it. And I believe from a council perspective, our South Glengarry Council has the role and the responsibility to help those organizations and individuals in our community by guiding and putting the resources in the hands that they need that will make the most of those. And thank you.
All righty. Well, that concludes the questions. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor Jaworski, Councillor Lang, and Councillor McDonnell for the tough, creative questions. I think you all did a great job answering them. You're not making our decision easy, I can say that for sure. So once again, thank you all for putting your names forward. We will be going into closed session to discuss the matter at hand. And we will have a decision by Monday's council meeting. And I've put it at the start of the agenda so that you all don't have to watch the meeting till the end and wait there knowing. So on behalf of all of council, thank you all very much for attending this evening's meeting and putting your names forward to serve our community. And we look forward to getting this issue put behind us. So you all can stay while we finish the rest of the meeting. We will be going in camera shortly, so it won't be too long, or you can go now.
Thank you very much.
Yep, moving on, closed session, moved by Sam McDonnell, second by Martin Lang. Be it resolved that Tim, oh, I think I skipped one. Nope. Be it resolved that Tim Mills be appointed acting clerk for the portion of the closed session relating to labor relations or employee negotiations. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. Moved by Martin Lang, second by Stephanie Jaworski. Be resolved that council convene to close session at 8:15 p.m. to discuss the following items under section 239(2) of the Municipal Act. 2, a meeting or part of a meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter discussed is personal matters about an identifiable individual, specifically councillor candidates. D, labor relations or employee negotiations, specifically staffing update. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. I'd like to thank the public for attending this evening's meeting, and we will be back after our closed